Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day. Today I wanted to go ahead and tour my figure collection with you. A few things before we begin though. We'll start with the price. So the price that I have valued this collection at is about $6,500. That price is an average of what I think this collection is worth. I went through every single thing that I'm going to show you and I estimated what the price was when I bought it, what I remember the price being, and for things that I couldn't remember, I went ahead on my figure collection and I looked at what things were being sold for now and what they were sold for at the time when they first came out, and I just picked a value in the middle to try and keep it fair. So my collection might be worth more because I do think a lot of the stuff that I have has gone up in the aftermarket, and I think that there are other items in my collection that have definitely tanked because, you know, either I broke them or something else happened that, you know, now they're not in great shape. I don't keep the boxes, so that's going to be a big dent into like what they were worth, what versus what they're worth now. It's more of a guesstimate than anything because I don't know. And honestly, to be completely honest with you, I don't know what people prefer. Do you prefer me tell you what it was when I bought it? Do you want to hear what my collection is probably worth now? I don't know how to value that. Some of my stuff is damaged. And sometimes, you know, the amount of damage changes the value of the figure. Like, I'd really have to do a lot of research, and there's a lot of stuff in this collection. So I figured this is fine. We can all just deal with that. You can agree to disagree in the comments and tell me, no, my collection is absolute trash and worth $0 if you want. Go for it. The stuff that I got when I was a kid till now is pretty much my entire collection. So this collection has taken at least, you know, 20 plus years of me collecting. So I just want to make that clear in case anyone's like, oh my gosh, like $6,500. Like, yes, that is a lot. That is a ton to spend, but it did take me this long to spend it. On the same topic, I must say, when I calculated this, I was so happy to see that number. I was so relieved that it was less than 10,000. I was going to be a little bit annoyed if it was anywhere near the amount of money that we put down on this house. I'm rather proud that my collection isn't like some more insane number, even though a lot of you are probably watching and being like, oh, $6,500 isn't nothing, that is insane. Agreed, but in the perspective of how long I've been collecting, I don't think it's that bad. So I'm gonna keep telling myself that it's not that bad. I actually do have collections in 3 different rooms. This room up here, which is the office slash studio, our bedroom downstairs, as well as our hutch in the dining room. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you through up here first, and then we'll go down there, and I'll go ahead and voice over and tell you some stories, because I have stories to go along with everything, it seems. I hope you enjoy, and I apologize ahead of time if this video is a bajillion hours long. Alrighty, so starting upstairs in my studio slash office, I have a small glass cabinet that I found on the side of the road. The overlapping glass isn't the nicest looking thing, but hey, I got it for free, so I really can't complain, right? Anyways, so starting from the top left, we have Merrick and Bakura from Yu-Gi-Oh! I believe these were made by Kotobukiya, but if you're interested, all of the figure info will be in the description, because I'm sure I'll get at least one of these figures wrong at some point. Behind them, I have my fiance and my Yu-Gi-Oh! Card decks in some cases that I had bought off of Amazon a while ago. Next level down is a bunch of similar sized figures that have absolutely no right being displayed together. We've got Raiden from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance here slicing a watermelon that Juzo Inui from No Gun's Life is holding. His mouth is open in awe that Raiden didn't just straight up take his head off. And in the back, we've got Psycho Mantis from Metal Gear Solid watching, because he's got very limited motion, so that's about all that I can make him do. His mask does come off, by the way, and the stuff next to him and around him actually came with him. Then we've got Kano from Mortal Kombat Deception standing on Juzo's coat, because Kano is very rude. And Lefty's there too, because I didn't know where else to put him. Lefty came with Juzo, by the way, and I wanted to display him though, because I think he's pretty neat, so he's just chilling out there too, watching everything unfold, and the watermelon, for the record, also came with Raiden. I'm very surprised the watermelon has managed to stay in Juzo's hand this entire time. I do feel like it has slowly migrated, slowly has moved down. I'm not sure how it's still there, but I'm terrified to move anything in this case because I want that moment to be captured. I very much enjoy the insanity that is just that little display of them just watching Ryan cut this watermelon out of Juzo's hand. It brings a smile to my face. Down again, we've got more Metal Gear. You would think I would have at least beaten one of the games by now, considering how many of these figures I have. But I did get a late start to Metal Gear, and I started with Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, so cut me some slack, will ya? Honestly though, these are shared between me and my husband-to-be, who did grow up with the series, but you know, what isn't actually, you know, what's yours is mine, mine is yours, what isn't his at this point? Anyways, we have Liquid from Metal Gear Solid and Baby Psycho Mantis here, floating next to him because he's adorable despite it making zero sense at all, time-wise. And yes, Psycho Baby is being held up by an Ever After High stand. Just ignore that. In front of them, we have my Sniper Wolf, who I poorly painted over myself because I didn't like her very much. Pretty sure she's also Kotobukiya, and they're probably one of my favorite figure companies, but this figure sucked. At least I think so. To be honest, even if she didn't suck, I really just shouldn't have bought her. And I actually nearly almost donated her at one point. Like, that's how much I don't care about this figure at all. To the right of her, we've got Jabril. Now, as you can imagine, this cabinet is nowhere near complete and is very likely to change in the future, but I figured it'd be cool to see how my display and collection changes in the upcoming years. Maybe I'll make another one of these videos every like 2 to 5 years to keep tabs on how it's going. Anyways, I don't have her with her books or anything because this is super temporary and it takes up a lot of space. My plan is to build a manga shelf on the one wall up here, and she's gonna sit on that, so for right now she's just over here behind the glass so nobody decides to play with her. To the right of her, we've got a similar story. Here's Tsunade getting drunk on a park bench by Good Smile Company. She'll go on the manga shelf too, and she's a gift I got for my hubby-to-be a year or so back. Back up one shelf, we've got Alcides in the corner with his box because I don't know where else to put it yet. He's my first model kit I've ever built and painted, and I love him. I love Landau, so I had to get this, and it was super easy and a lot of fun. It also started my obsession with models, so prepare to see many of them in upcoming hauls, though they'll most likely be tanks, because I love me some tanks. He's also painted with acrylic incorrectly, like Sniper Wolf, so even though I hadn't learned my lesson at the time, at least I got better at doing it wrong. And to his left, we've got my Tanya Figma, which is my favorite Figma, and the pose I gave her is amazing, I think. I'm afraid to move her as well. I'm afraid to move Juzo. I'm afraid to move her. I just love the way that I have those two posed. And I put our Duce Anchovy next to her because she's a Figma too, but she's a fixed Figma. Don't buy her, by the way, because she sucks, and it's not worth the money, and that's coming from someone who absolutely adores our Duce. I'd pay like $10 for her, maybe, if I had to repurchase her, but more likely I'd just skip her completely. In case you're not aware, fixed Figma means she can't be, like, moved. She doesn't have joints. So yeah, I literally give her a 1 out of 10, especially since there's other Girls in Panzer Duce figures of similar size for far cheaper than she goes. Next shelf up, we have Flandre in the corner all alone, which is really sad because she's my favorite scale figure, but as I mentioned, this is very much a work in progress. I have some other Maid Cafe girls ordered to go with her, so they'll take probably up like most or a whole shelf once those ones come in. Yes, I will make an unboxing video of all of them when they do come in. Flandre is such a good figure though. I highly recommend her if you can find her. I'm not sure how expensive she is nowadays, but she is just perfect. I adore her. So when I get those Maid Cafe figures, I'll be moving these petite Nendoroids, but they're just a few of the Girls in Panzer girls right here. I want to make little backgrounds for each of them to like match them and then hang this on the wall, but we'll see what happens. And now to the behemoth that is my resin statue of Reiner and the Armored Titan. It's huge, it's heavy, it lights up if you put the correct batteries in it, and though the scale is obviously skewed, I absolutely love it. Reiner and Gabi are my favorite characters in Attack on Titan, and I know I'm gonna get crap for liking Gabi, so come at me in the comments. Gabi is a good character. Change my mind. Reiner is best boy. Change my mind. To the left, we've got Vash the Stampede and Nick, aka Matt, because I always call him Matt. I believe these are also Kotobukiya Artifacts J. Very impressive and amazing, faithful figures. I highly recommend them, but not for a crazy price. Vash goes for an insane price nowadays. Do not spend an insane amount on him. He is beautiful, wonderful, not worth $700 plus. Don't do that to yourself, please. And on top of my CDs and 2 of my cassettes that I actually have out, I've got this teeny tiny Katusha and Anzu and little tanks, as well as my anchovy acrylic stand that I absolutely adore, of her with a duster to remind me to dust my figures. These I actually had unboxed in an earlier video, so go ahead and check that out if you are interested. I have an entire Anzu haul, and these other tanks and, you know, Katusha and Anzu were in that as well. Now to the windowsill, I have a bootleg Haku I had gotten forever ago off of Wish, and this little vial that was a contact vial for colored contacts I bought a while ago, and I made like a little sand village thing inside. It's got Tamari's fan and Konkuro's little puppet, Gaara's little sand thing. I just basically made all those things, shoved it in there, and was like, oh, that looks neat. So yeah, that again, made it forever ago. And then I've also got Lane, and Lane. Let's all love Lane, everybody. I freaking love Lane. Serial Experiments Lane is my favorite anime of all time, in case you couldn't tell. I like the box designs, so the ones I took out of the boxes, I put them back in and then I displayed them here. I think they look nice all together like this. They are super expensive now, so while I highly recommend them if you're like a big Lane fan, just keep in mind that it's kind of investment, but I mean, like, really, what isn't in this hobby? In between Lane, we have this little L figure my fiance got from his brother. There are also micro pets. One is from my childhood and another is from a garage sale that I got for free. And to the left of it all, we have my little Sailor Saturn, because I loved Sailor Moon as a kid, even though I absolutely remember nothing about it to this day. I just like her design with her staff. I think it's neat. And this, I think, may be my first anime figure that wasn't like an action figure or anything. I used to have a fair amount of action figures from like Digimon and Godzilla that we'll get into in a little bit, but I think she was my first non-posable figure, I think. And it's totally possible I got her back in middle school, which is a very long time ago for me. Now on to the shame that is my other cabinet. So this cabinet is going to be modified heavily, so I haven't displayed much, and what is there is very temporary. I have this nice plexiglass I got for free on the side of the road, and plan to make plexiglass doors for this cabinet to deter little hands from grabbing things off of the shelves. And if you're curious, I picked this cabinet off the side of the road too, at least a decade ago. Super cool find, very interesting cabinet, but yeah, it's a total wreck at the moment. So we're just gonna focus on the few figures that are up here, and then we're gonna move on. So up here to the left, we have the amazing bunny girls, Kei and Yukari. I can't wait to display them and make them like actually look nice. I do think that they will be over where they are now, but right now, the way everything's looking, it just doesn't do them justice. If you're interested in seeing an unboxing of them, I did actually put one up, so go ahead and check that out if you are interested. And to the right of them, we have my little cheap anchovy and my pop-up parade Tanya, looking super silly because I don't have a nice way to display them yet. I love this Tanya, and if you love Tanya but don't want to break the bank, looking for this one is your best bet. For a pop-up parade, she's really good, even though mine does have a defect. She's got a little bubble on her head, but I don't really mind that much. I mean, I didn't mind enough to send her back, so maybe one day I'll fix it, but probably not. As for little Duce, she's alright. There are better cheap anchovy figures out there, so unless you're collecting this line with all the other girls, which I am, I don't really recommend her. And to the right of them is my small Nendoroid collection. I only have Envy, Tanya, and Reiner. I do have a plan on posing Tanya and Reiner together and making my own speech bubble, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. Maybe when I do an update of my collection in the future, my goal will be complete. Let's just say Tanya will be typical Tanya, and Reiner will still look like this, but without the current thought bubble. It's gonna be really mean and very funny for people with a very specific sense of humor. And for the record, I do love both these characters, but I gotta make this Rhino Nendoroid worth it. It's just like, I don't collect Nendoroids, and he's a very plain Nendoroid. I just have to have fun with it. I bought it specifically because I have the option to make it look like he's gonna blow his head off. I need to utilize this to its full ability. As for Envy, he is an amazing Nendoroid. I highly recommend, just like how I'd highly recommend Tanya. Tanya's Nendoroid is my favorite Nendoroid out of the three. And next to them, in case you're curious, I'll just mention it real quick. These are like some erasers from Japan that look like food in this skull jar. And they're all like the sweet versions. They had like other things in these erasers. They're just like really intricate erasers that look really cute. Up here on the top shelf, I have my anchovy, carpaccio, and pepperoni Cupoche. I called them Cuposh, but I've heard people since say Cupoche, so whatever, I don't really care. You get what they are. They're like not Nendoroids, but they're kind of like Nendoroids. I unboxed them in my Onzio haul video, so if you want to go ahead and check them out. I drop and break them multiple times. It's very entertaining. Also, I have my stupid Stug 3 with the History Club here and the diagramma that came inside the box. I love this tank so much, and the fact that they didn't understand that camouflage is like actually has a purpose is just so stupid. I love it. Plus it's the History Club. They're my favorite ORI team in Girls in Panzer. And in front of them we have more Girls in Panzer Petite Nendoroids. Again, this entire display is very temporary, but it's still like fun to show you guys. Next to them, I have this shelf of random stuff to go through. It's all merch for the most part, Girls in Panzer merch, that I'll be showing and unboxing in future videos. And we have here my Anderson that I unboxed in my huge haul video. I want to hang them up, but since I have more to do in this room, I want to wait and try to minimize the amount of holes I put in this wall. He came with the third Helsing DVD box set, by the way. I also have a few more of the Girls in Panzer Petite Nendoroids that I haven't put out. I think it's just the one girl from the volleyball team, one of the bowl cuts from the Mallard team, and I don't plan on displaying either of those two, but then I think it's Darjeeling Sitting. I'm not really sure why I didn't take her out, but she's in one of these boxes too. And that is it for up here, but in case you guys want to see something fun, I'm about to horrify every serious manga collector out there, so okay, real quick, and that's where the bookshelf I make is going to go. Now we travel down to the bedroom to continue our tour. Welcome to a very less sad figure cabinet. This cabinet was supposed to actually be upstairs, but despite both my mother and I separately measuring beforehand, my fiance and my father attempted to move this upstairs, and apparently neither of us know how to use a measuring tape properly, because it didn't fit once they reached, of course, the very top of the steps. They probably could have killed us, honestly. Anyways, let's ignore the crayon my daughter so lovingly decorated the front of the cabinet with and address the empty space to the left side, since it's kind of awkward. A resin statue will be here by year's end. Since we are getting married this year, I wanted to get something very special for my fiance, and so it will go here. I am actually already— oh my god, this bug. What the heck? Ant. You will die! You'll die! Since apparently I can't measure for my life, I actually built it here and then unassembled it and repackaged it and then hid it. So I know this is the perfect amount of space, and yeah, it's a tall one. I just got lucky that it fits depth-wise though, to be honest, like that was total luck. So this spot is reserved for that for the future. Also, the bottom of this thing is just storage, but we do have my fiance's Monica Nendoroid. I got him about a year or two ago down here. He never unboxed. I'm not sure where to put her, so she just kind of chills down here for now. Other than that, I got a basket of random things for this cabinet, and then this prop gun I had made for my cosplay. I wore to New York Comic-Con in 2017. Overwatch is like super dead now, but it died for me soon after I dressed up as Roadhog. But yeah, I made my own cosplay. I like to think it looked pretty good, but I would never go to New York City Comic-Con ever again, though, just for the record. It's not really worth it. There are better cons in the area. And the other side down here just has a box of electronics. It's not very exciting. But up from that, we've got my Spyro resin statue by First for Figures. This was my first resin statue, which I broke spectacularly one day because he got caught on my poncho. His leg broke, it was a mess, he was all over the floor. I've been slowly fixing him, and we'll probably put a video up fixing him and telling you guys the whole story of what happened, like in depth, and how I'm fixing him, what I'm doing. But yeah, he's awesome. Spyro had a huge impact on my childhood. It was my favorite game as a kid, and I still love it to this day. I got the light-up version, by the way, because there is a standard version as well, and I think this is pretty cool. This entire cabinet really can be summed up as pure nostalgia, except for this next shelf. So up from him, we've got my Neptunia figure I like to complain about. I don't so much complain about the figure as the fact that I bought the figure. I wish I liked Neptunia more, but I don't, and I shouldn't have bought this thing. But it is beautiful. I won't get rid of it, and if you like Neptunia, I recommend it, but not worth it for me personally. I do think she is really cool though, and I like how I arranged the pieces of her box around her. Up again, we've got some of my Godzillas. We've got Rodan, Gigan, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Anguirus. You may notice there's some slight damage, maybe major damage. That's because I actually got these every year for Christmas as a kid growing up. I'd get a Godzilla, Holiday Barbie, and Hess truck for Christmas each year. Same with my brother, except he, didn't get a Barbie each year. So, yeah, King Ghidorah's horns look like that because I used to have him fight my mom's car by ramming his head into the side of it. And Mothra has some noticeable amounts of crayon on her. I do actually have more of these kinds of Godzilla figures, including Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, so I'm hoping to make a Godzilla shelf in here instead of having them crammed in this display like this. But I think they look pretty good here for now, and I do like having them out. So the next level is more nostalgia. Again, I've got my Crash figures. We've got my favorite Dingodile, as well as Entropy, Uka Uka, Crash himself, and a crate. I used to have more, but I ended up selling them and only keeping my favorites, except for Uka Uka. I really don't know why I still have him, but he's cool, I guess. And also here, because it matches the cartoony nature, is Earthworm Jim. I love Earthworm Jim and highly recommend the show, regardless of your thoughts on the game, because it's amazing. Now, the younger generation may not get all the references, like off the top of my head, Jacques Cousteau, Rosebud. But maybe you will, and even if you don't, you'll still find the show very enjoyable. I also used to have most of the figures that were in this line that the Evil, the Cat, and Psycho are from, but they weren't the best, so I just kept these two since I really like Psycho's design, and Evil is probably my favorite character overall. Also, Earthworm Jim 2, Jim is now a blind newt salamander, is my favorite level of the game, and it might as well be a completely different game altogether. If they could just make an entire game that was like that level, I would be in heaven. I like normal Earthworm Jim too, but that level just came out of nowhere and it was so relaxing and fun. I would enjoy an entire game that was built just like that. On to more nostalgia. On top of the cabinet here, we've got some Lara Croft. I love Lara. I always called her Laura as a kid because my mom knew a chick named Laura who spelt her name like Lara, but since everybody calls her Lara, I'll go ahead and conform, I guess. Tomb Raider was one of the first games I actually played as a kid. We had a PlayStation and a Sega Genesis, so I grew up on Tomb Raider, Spyro, Sonic, Eco the Dolphin, and Twisted Metal as a little kiddo. A lot of the old Tomb Raider stuff isn't too expensive, by the way, so I do recommend picking it up if you see it. I never took these out of the boxes and don't plan on it, since the boxes I think really add to the figures, plus I'm also kind of a little afraid they might be sticky and I don't feel like dealing with that. Also, we got this little Lara for free, which is always something to brag about. Down a level, we've got, you guessed it, more nostalgia. These are Sonic Lego that my daughter and I built together. I also do have some old Sonic figures here and a little flocked figure. I did have the entire flocked set. I do still have it, I should say. I just don't know where they are. My daughter was playing with them, and I'm not really sure where they went. Same goes with these figures. I'm missing a few in this display. Do have the whole set, but she was playing with them, so God knows where they are in this house. I was big into Sonic when I was little, just like I was big into Spyro. I used to talk my family's ears off about those two. It was like a huge thing for me. Down from that, we've got my signed Elliott Sadler NASCAR from my childhood. NASCAR was also big for me as a kid, since a lot of people in my family were into it at the time. Not as much anymore, but I liked Elliott Sadler because he was originally in the M&M car. That's literally, I was such a fat kid, I swear. But this Best Buy car is cool too. I also played those games a lot on the PlayStation as well. You're going the wrong way. I have my new anchovy racing figure posed with it appropriately, and I actually plan on getting some more Girls in Panzer stuff to put on display here. I'm going to collect the buses. I don't think they're too expensive, and in case you don't know what they are, in the town of Oarai, because it's a real town, they have a bunch of Girls in Panzer stuff, and one of the things is like the buses are decorated in Girls in Panzer wraps, so I want to get the buses. I want to get the trains too, but the trains are going to be more expensive, especially since the lines aren't, like, they changed them to normal trains, from my understanding, like, literally in June of this year. Second one, third one, and fourth one were all retired, I believe, so I have a feeling those are going to kind of go up in price, but the buses, I think, are still around, so they shouldn't be too bad. I also have 2 original test track cars to add in here, but I'm also not sure where those are at the moment. I'll find all this stuff eventually. Below that, we've got some JoJo figures. So here's what's happening here. This is another, like, planned display. Our plan is to get 1 Figma from every part, get some 1/12 size instruments, and make a hair metal band. That's the plan with the shelf. I'm going to make an entire scene and everything. It is going to be so much fun to display them. For now, I've got the Akira, which isn't a Figma, but he was my choice, and he's the same size. I like that he came with Chili Pepper, because he's going to be like their band mascot. And then we've got Funny Valentine, who was also my pick, but I don't actually know tons about Steel Ball Run. I just like his design and what I've read and seen from playing, like, Eyes of Heaven. And most importantly, my fiance approved, and he has read that part, so yeah, we got him. I preferred both of their B colors, by the way, and that's why they aren't in their original colors. And then we've got Diavolo, who my fiance picked out. Our plan is to eventually add Whole Horse, he's my pick, from part 3. And then he gets to pick from Stone Ocean because Jolene is his favorite JoJo, and I think that might actually be his favorite part. And for part 2 will be Cars, obviously, and I don't like part 1, so that's totally up to my fiance who we get from him. I barely like part 2, if I'm being honest. So that is it for this cabinet, but also in the bedroom above our computer desk, we've got a bunch of Berserk figures. I got the little ones for my fiance years ago, and my parents got him the bigger Guts figure. They're pretty cool, and the main reason I got this set was because my fiance actually really likes Skull Knight. And then right here we've got Jill Valentine, and yeah, her arm's dislocated. I bought this for him, and she was cheaper than I thought she should be. I don't remember if her arm was off or not when I bought her, but it doesn't really bother us too much. I theoretically could remove her, fix her, and like carefully put her back, but it's not really a priority at the moment, so I kind of doubt it's gonna happen. Also on the desk here, I've got Sub-Zero and Scorpion bookends. So onto the final room, the dining room. Here is the hutch I am currently decorating. The bottom row works as a library since the light isn't bright enough down there. On the right side, we have my Sophitia figure I unboxed on this channel, and honestly, most of the figures in this hutch are in the same video. Funny enough. I love this figure, and I displayed her with one of our sets of history books that I got for 25 cents each at a yard sale. The plate was a hand-me-down, by the way, and she came with some collectible edition of the 6th Soul Calibur game, by the way, but I just bought the figure off of eBay. Then up one, I've got my sword boys. Here is Ino Matsurugi, Shishio, and Suramaru. I display them with some Asian books, most of which are from yard sales or picked off the side of the road. Same with the pots and all these like little things. I've just always picked this stuff up when it's come up for free because I think it's pretty, and now I finally got a use for it. And moving on to the middle of the hutch, we've got my Reiner Papa Parade and my Yukari figure with my little Stug 3 that doesn't look stupid. And in the middle here, we have a model kit box because this is where I build model kits at night on the dining room table with my daughter, who's usually building Legos next to me. It's a good activity to calm her down before bedtime, you know? Sometimes we read books and sometimes we build tanks. We even built a Pikachu and an Eevee once, but those are hers, so they're not on display or anything. They're her toys. She gets to play with those whenever she wants. The plan with this space or the space above is to display the Tiger 1 once it arrives, since I pre-ordered it and it's going to be huge. It's in the ocean right now, taking its sweet time getting here. I hope it fits, but if it doesn't, we'll figure out another place for it. And like the other figures, the books I display with them, I try to like match the theme of the shelf itself. To the left here, I also have a reserved space for the 5th Symphony Miku pre-order that's also on its way in the ocean right now. We've got the Black Legion Terminator from Warhammer and this small Berserker Guts statue. Both are my fiance's. I got him the Guts, my parents got him the Terminator. We both prefer this Guts to the XL Pop-Up Parade one, by the way, mostly because it fits better being smaller with our space, but also just the details are kind of more interesting, we think. And that is it for our dining room, and thus that's it for my collection. Alrighty, and that is it. I hope you all enjoyed touring my collection with me. If you've made it this far, I assume you at least somewhat like me and my content, so please go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more or you're interested in my other stuff. Go ahead and check out my other videos. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time.